Welcome back, Attack. So, 2014 was a really big year for MOBA games and also a sad year with Transformers Universe and Dawngate being cancelled. But, can we be more optimistic this year? We can at least try to be. This is going to be a top 10 list for upcoming MOBAs this year, for 2015. Get stoked, get hyped, let's get on with the list. Alright everybody, to start off our countdown, our list, we gotta talk about Master X Master, or just Master. This is going to be a top-down shooting MOBA, so it's going to be kind of similar to ZAM, or it's going to be similar to Shards of War. Basically, you have a different kind of control scheme than what we're used to in normal MOBA, considering Dota 2 and League of Legends. You are actually controlling a shooter character, kind of like a twin-stick shooter. You are aiming your cursor, you're shooting skill shots, but still top-down. If you guys are used to playing action RPGs, if you guys are used to the mechanical intensive characters of League of Legends, and hey, maybe if you played Shards of War, maybe if you played ZAM, you're gonna fall into this game and you're gonna enjoy it. Dead Island Epidemic is even using this kind of control scheme, so we see a lot of MOBA coming out that are actually utilizing this control scheme, and it really just works. Hopefully though, and it looks like it, based on the trailers, it looks like this game is actually gonna live up to those mechanics and actually have gameplay that's worthy of those mechanics with lots of skill shots, lots of things that you need to evade PvE and PvP considered. So hopefully thematically everything is gonna fit together and we're gonna fall in love with these characters, and hopefully it's gonna translate well to the West. So the next game that we're talking about is Lord of Vermillion Arena by Square Enix, and it's actually based on an extremely popular card game in the East, but it's pretty much unknown in the West, which could be kind of a tragedy because maybe we won't even see this game and maybe it's not going to translate very well, but either way, this is probably going to be a good MOBA. Now the card game iteration of the game essentially was a translation of MOBA mechanics for a card game. Now we're getting a true full MOBA, and this is going to be Square Enix's first attempt into the MOBA market. The gameplay is kind of reminiscent of MMO PvP Battlegrounds, gameplay that's kind of similar to Smite. So hopefully with this, it's actually going to blow up and we're actually going to have a really deep and complicated game, but still have the mechanics that we want from MMO Battlegrounds or PvP games like Arena Fighters. Alright guys, so a game that I'm really excited for is going to be Core Masters, because I think it just has a lot of character. It really reminds me of League of Legends when it was first starting, and I think, yes, I can't really disagree saying that this does look very similar to League of Legends. Cosmetically, yeah, a lot mechanically as well. But the thing that this game has is it has a lot of character and it has a really clean art style. And not only that, but it has really interesting mechanics. These characters not only thematically look really interesting, but mechanically, I'm excited to get my hands on them. Not only that, but it seems like there's some really interesting game types, some really interesting objective play that really focuses on brawling and fighting. And sure, it might not be competitive, it might not have the most strategic depth, but overall, it just seems like a really fun and colorful game that I just want to dive into. Core Masters is really focused on Eastern audiences, but when it comes to the West, we can still hope for the best. Alright guys, let's talk about Arena of Fate. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not entirely sold on the art style or even the aesthetic, because apparently it's supposed to be fairy tale characters like Red Riding Hood and such. But if you actually look at the gameplay, it looks really interesting, and at least really good graphically, but of course it will, it's by Crytek. So the game actually is going to have a time limit. It's supposed to be a very casual MOBA where matches don't take that long, well, because of the time limit, and also they're very fighting focused, fighting both PvE for the objectives and also brawling focused with a lot of mechanics so that you can get into the fights and fight other players easily without too much consequence. Kind of similar to Dawngate, may it rest in peace, Hearthstone, and Strife. This is going to be one of those games that's trying to fill that niche, casual market for MOBA. It's cartoony, it's silly, it's promising fun, quick fights. Honestly, there's not too much hype behind the game, but it's by a big company. I think it's safe to say that you don't want to keep your eyes off of this one for too long. It might just surprise us. Alright everybody, let's talk about Deadbreed. Now this is a game that has a lot of hype behind it because of its really interesting aesthetic. Now I think any other MOBA out there really has a cartoony look to it, but this game is looking really classic, dirty, and gritty. And true to its action RPG aesthetic, yes, it actually plays like an action RPG. You are going to be equipping items, that kind of sounds like normal MOBA, but your character actually wears the items. You're not just starting out as an archer, you don't start out as a claymore wielding badass, no, you actually buy those items, and every character has its own innate abilities, but you choose the weapon that he uses. You also choose the armor and the artifacts, and from that, this store actually has a huge amount of impact, not just aesthetically because your character looks awesome with that cape, but also mechanically because you are giving him a totally different playstyle depending on the weapons and armors that you're choosing. Add in the fact that there is going to be lots of different characters, and then the map design is very RPG based, where there's even dungeons and lots of different objectives. You guys can start to see where all the fun is to be had here. Alright, so now the next game that we're looking at is going to be Fates Forever, which is for the mobile devices, it's for tablet. But guys, don't leave the video yet. Know that this is actually a full-fledged MOBA. You're going to have mobility, you're going to have all the strategy that you want, and it's going to be fully functional, fully mechanical. All these characters would totally fit in your League of Legends, in your Dota. Not only that, but they look just as good too. It's fully fleshed out, extremely colorful, has a lot of character, and overall this is probably going to be the single best mobile MOBA, and it's going to be great, and it controls very well for the tablets as well, seemingly. Now, I know MOBAs are kind of known for being competitive, but if you're looking for a casual and fun experience, Fates Forever is definitely going to deliver it.
Well, okay guys, next up on the list is King of freaking Wushu. Well, really it's just King of Wushu, but anyways, this game's crazy. This game's all kung fu crazy. Everybody was kung fu fighting, lightning fast, whatever the song, yeah. Okay, so King of Wushu, oh my goodness. It's supposed to be like an action MOBA, and hopefully it will live up to maybe say the predecessor Smite. Hopefully, you know, Smite's really a freaking awesome game. So if we can get that kind of game, but a little bit more on the action side, take away some of the strategy, I guess would be the appropriate sacrifice. And if we can just have a really mechanical freaking kung fu fighting MOBA, I would dig it. I think Western audience would even dig it. It doesn't need to be crazy complicated or anything, just give us a lot of really cool flying fast kicks and punches. Of course, a colorful cast of characters with all sorts of different kind of mojos and woojus and else. I'm definitely being insensitive, but I'm honestly quite excited for this game. Hopefully you are too. King of Wushu, coming soon.
Okay, so similar in vein to Heroes of the Storm, we now have Strife, and Strife is kind of trying to be the Team Fortress 2 of MOBA. It's just gonna be fun. A lot of different deep mechanics, of course, are added into the game, but it's not there to be competitive. It's really just there to have fun and be silly and just kind of be random. There's so many variables in this game. The map is so huge. There's so many different kinds of characters and so much customization with these characters, especially with the pet system. Yeah, guys, you can have pets. With the pet system, that it's kind of hard to make this game competitive, but I don't think they're trying to be that. No, Strife is actually just trying to be a really fun, silly game, kind of in vein just like Heroes of the Storm. Okay, but where Heroes of the Storm is really meant for small arenas, not too much complexity, Strife is going the opposite. It still wants that complexity, it still wants a huge item shop. In fact, you even have item crafting, but it wants all that randomness and all that chaos just for the fun of it. So if you love the depth and strategy of MOBA, and you still do enjoy the standard MOBA experience, but maybe you want a little bit of less competitive atmosphere, then Strife is definitely the game for you. Okay, so now we have Heroes of the Storm, and I know a lot of people are super hyped for this game, super stoked for this game, and it looks really fun, actually. Yes, I've had hands-on with it, I've been playing it for a while now, and it is very interesting. For one, there's no item shop, so instead of having a broad item shop where people can pick and choose different items, sometimes you can have bad builds, sometimes you can have good builds, really there's not that much specialization within a broad item shop. In this game, you actually have individual traits for each and every character, so it's essentially like an item shop specialized for those characters, so that there's never really a wrong build, and you can only really specialize and do different niche and unique things with your character from there. Leveling is also a pretty unique mechanic in this game as well, because everyone levels up together! Yeah, experience is shared. So as you kill someone, everyone gets experience for that. Also, it's pretty interesting because instead of just focusing on one map rotation, it's actually gonna have a full roster of maps, and each of these maps are actually totally different thematically and mechanically with different sort of side objectives that you can accomplish in quests. And overall, the game is just a lot of fun. Sure, it might not be as competitive as League of Legends or Dota 2, and it might not be as mechanical as something like Smite, but in the end, it is really good casual fun, and I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy that.
Alright guys, so our #1 spot has to go to Gigantic. Gigantic is going to be like a MOBA, but it's going to not be a MOBA. I don't know, it's trying to say that it's going to try to be so many different kind of genres, and they're taking so many ideas. They're taking from RPG ideas, action RPG ideas, third-person shooter ideas, MOBA ideas. Basically, this game's going to be kind of genre defining, and I hope it is. I hope that it's going to be amazing. I hope it's going to be big and epic, and so far all the gameplay screens look like it's going to be. Its art style is super clean. It looks like it's going to run amazingly, 60 FPS smooth. Now the only problem is hoping that there's going to be a lot of strategy and tactics with this, with different characters, with the different maps, and whatever we have with the player versus environment. These giant, well, where we get the namesake from, gigantic monsters that are going to be basically the point of each match. Hopefully this turns out as awesome as it seems, guys. If it does, if it doesn't, I'm sure that it's going to be an amazing game regardless. I'm sure it's going to be at least a good game. So keep your eyes forward on the horizon for all these games, but especially our #1 Gigantic.
Thank you so much, Attack, for checking out our top 10 2015 MOBAs coming out. Hopefully they're going to be as good as they're hyped up to be, and if they are, we'll definitely see you on there. And yeah, go check out MMOATK.com. I got some really cool articles and gaming goodness. Like this video if you like it, maybe, I don't know. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you think a game should have been on this list or maybe shouldn't be on this list. And guys, subscribe. We got a lot of really cool content coming out. Thank you for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you again later.
I get to put something in your mouth again.
Can I put it in my hand first?
No, you know how this works.
Oh my
I
God.
shove it in your mouth.
Please choose your words wisely.
Okay. Lean back.
Oh, warhead.
Well,